Butch Jones Grumors. I didn't get an opportunity to get into much of this back in the day because I wasn't covering Tennessee on a day-to-day basis nearly as close as I am now. But I knew from afar that the Jon Gruden rumors were just groomers and that he never was really interested in Tennessee. There were a couple of people at Tennessee that optimistically thought they might be able to go get him, but I never believed it. Did you believe that on the message board? Let me hear from you. Hit the like and subscribe button. So let's pull this up. Are we playing this, Caleb, or are we just showing a picture of Butch Jones?
No, we'll play it. It's only 23 seconds. You ready to hear what he had to say about Gruden this week?
I'm ready.
Let's get to going.
So I really challenged our coaching staff to get out. Jon Gruden's a good friend of mine. We went down and spent a full day with him as an offensive staff. I thought that was enlightening to a lot of our young coaches of how you present, how you teach, how you manage your room, how you do your meetings, and then obviously from a schematical standpoint as well. So I really...
Oh, that's it. Sorry.
All right. So let's get to today's tough question. And that is right now. And it's brought to you by Boundless Moving.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
All right. So I'm going to ask this pretty simple. Who would be a worse coach at Tennessee? Is it Jon Gruden and what we know, or is it Butch Jones? Today's tough question. We'll get that posted on the YouTube page so you can vote. It'll be our poll question as well. Caleb, what say you, sir? I'll give you first go at this.
Well, we have the resume for Butch Jones at Tennessee, and I think Butch Jones would be the worst coach because I just think Butch Jones is dumber. I mean, it's... I'm sorry. It's I know between Fulmer and Heupel, Butch Jones had more success than any other of the other head coaches. But Josh Ward is going to totally disagree with me in the past, and so has Fred White on this. So there's people who have come on the show that disagree. I think Butch Jones still inherited a much better situation than Derek Dooley inherited, honestly, or than Jimmy Pruitt inherited. And
we could certainly debate that. None of them were great. I think we would all agree there. Portions of the program and today's tough question brought to you by Boundless Moving. From a 2-hour minimum to turnkey operations, they have you covered. Their motto, personal service without limits. Not just a tagline, part of who they are. That's who I use. And they were fantastic in East Tennessee and North Carolina. I want to say you're right because I didn't think there was any proof that Jon Gruden would have been a great coach at Tennessee back when everybody wanted him and had fallen in love with him. I think the NFL and college football head coaching is about two completely separate things. But I don't know how you could possibly hire the racist. I mean, he has proven that he uses racial epithets, and not just some of them, but the worst one and all of them in emails. I don't know how you would ever win a locker room over, Caleb, given the history. I think that would be awful in recruiting. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Butch Jones, aside from the morality, just pragmatically, would have more success at Tennessee. Let's say if Josh Heupel decided he wanted to go to the NFL, Butch Jones would have more success than Jon Gruden. And there is literally no doubt in my mind because of the racial overtones. Am I crazy?
Well, we didn't know about those racial overtones until a few years ago. So is this Jon Gruden after those are out now? You're saying after they're out?
This is right now. Okay, this is right now. The position becomes open because Josh Heupel just got hired by the Dallas Cowboys, and the god of football tells you only have two choices.
I'm still taking Jon Gruden. And by the way, and here's the biggest reason, Dave. You can say that about Gruden, but the stuff of Gruden is out now, and Butch Jones was still stupid enough to tell people that Gruden's a good friend of his and that he had his coaches go learn from Gruden. Think about that for a minute. Why would you say that now? After the stuff came out.
I do not know. Colton
Only
says, I
Butch
just
Jones would be
joined.
dumb enough to do that.
Colton says, I just joined. Why? And the brick by brick, is this still a topic? Because Butch Jones said that he went to visit with Jon Gruden at some point to pick up his coaching acumen. A lot of coaches do this. This isn't a great surprise. So Butch Jones needs to learn from people. I just don't see how you could possibly ever repair a relationship that you would have with potential players and potential minorities when you've said what Jon Gruden has said. I would rather have the dodo sociopath. And you really had to work hard to, I don't know. He was such a, well, I take it, I don't know. He's bad for the university. He's bad to have on campus. He could actually cause someone some physical harm by inciting a fight because he's a sociopath. There's so many things wrong with him, but I just can't go with a tried and true racist.
Okay, so what about
I feel like
here's the funny part, though.
I feel like we're choosing between different forms of cancer or something. This is just awful.
Here's the funny part about this is that when we talk about connecting with coaches, when Butch Jones first took over at Tennessee, he invited Eric Spoelstra to come talk to the team. Do you remember that, Dave? The Miami Heat coach? And that should have been a red flag then, because I go back and watch those Heat teams. Eric Spoelstra was not a good coach. He just had LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Like, you and I could have won an NBA Finals championship with that team, right? And Butch Jones brings Eric Spoelstra and sold like two-time NBA champion to talk to the players. I'm like, what is Eric Spoelstra going to go share? He's going to share, get a bunch of superstars, and you can win without doing anything. But my conspiracy theory is this. Is this why Jon Gruden didn't take the Tennessee job? Did he not take the Tennessee job out of loyalty to Butch Jones?
No, I don't think he took the Tennessee job because he didn't want to be a recruiter. Do you think he wanted to be a recruiter? That sounds awful to me. I mean, that doesn't sound like any fun. I never believed that he wanted to do that. I never believed that he wanted to be the recruiter, and I would have bet on it. Speaking of, bet US 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits, and I would have won. I wouldn't have needed the 10% gambler's insurance because I was right. Bet US, a proud partner of Off the Hook Sports, 125% bonus. Use that. It's phenomenal.
America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
You said that for funsies. You don't really believe that Jon Gruden nor Butch Jones would do something for the security or betterment of someone else, right? We were talking about a couple of guys that are pretty self-centered.
I mean, didn't Bill Callahan share the Raiders playbook with Jon Gruden in the Super Bowl because he thought Jon Gruden was wronged for being fired? And didn't he throw that Super Bowl when Oakland played Tampa Bay in 2003?
Oh, I certainly haven't heard that. That sounds pretty out there, right?
That's been a very long time rumor that Bill Callahan had a genuine problem with how Al Davis treated Jon Gruden, and Jon Gruden was his friend. So when the Raiders got to the Super Bowl to play Tampa Bay, the rumor is Bill Callahan gave Jon Gruden the whole Raiders playbook and basically threw the Super Bowl just to get back at Al Davis. That's the rumor, which is how Jon Gruden got his only Super Bowl. Now, I'm going to confess something, Dave, and I should put it out here now because I get things wrong. When I was at my old job, I drove the groomer train a little bit in 2017.
You shouldn't have done that. You should have called me.
I didn't know you, and I'm not as tied into the program. I believe, but Paul Feinbaum hinted at it. Paul Feinbaum on his show hinted. The reason I did it was Paul Feinbaum on his show hinted that the boosters were about to cobble up a bunch of money to go get Jon Gruden. Now, Dave, I actually think that part's true. I think a lot of boosters did try to cobble up money to get Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden wasn't interested. Is that fair to say?
I think there were a small group that did let's say like a cocktail napkin draw up of how they could get together some cash. I don't think there was like a formal presentation and a spreadsheet and all that good stuff.
Okay, so I think and I had thought that in 2013 or 2012, the reason Tennessee didn't get Gruden is I thought Dave Hart was not willing to spend the money at the time. Now, I owe Dave Hart an apology. I owe everybody everybody who read me driving the Grumors train an apology. I even wrote a potential staff, and I'm like, Jim Bob Cooter would be offensive coordinator. And I mean, I had the
Well, it
whole
was
staff.
fine. I'm not blaming you. And let's face it, Paul Feinbaum was probably poking the bear a little bit, but Paul does have really good sources at Tennessee. One of them from time to time has been me, but Caleb, he does have good sources at Tennessee, because I'm sure we all saw the picture of him meeting with the president of the communications department. That wasn't just to exchange Thanksgiving recipes. That was, hey, Paul, I'm pretty aware of what you make because Disney's a publicly traded company. How about give us some cash? So if you give them a little bit of cash, you tend to get better access, I would think.
I've always trusted Paul Feinbaum's like 2/3 of his radio show I've always loved. The other part is the Alabama fans who call into the show. And so, I mean, that's the part I don't love. But
I think he's a good interviewer. I think that
I agree. And I usually
interview people for a long time.
I don't think he was lied to. I think Paul Feinbaum was going based on what sources were telling him. And I think it was the boosters and sources at Tennessee that really thought they were going to get Jon Gruden at the time.
Believe so. Yeah, that would be the case.